All right, late Friday night. We're back. DC in the sunshine, man. Lots to get into. Dave, how was your week?
Real good until from a betting standpoint, quite good until the last couple of days. Today was not good.
Oh boy.
But that's going to happen.
Of course.
I won a ton over the last 3 weeks because I hit 2 outrights in golf, and not out of it this weekend as far as the golf's concerned either. So we'll see what happens there.
What's happening?
Well, Bubba Watson's having a real good tournament at a course that he has done extremely well in this event over the years, and he's looking good right now. So we'll see if anybody can catch him. I mean, there's some other guys. Who's the guy who's been struggling? And Day had a great round today. So there's a couple of real good names at the top of the leaderboard, but guys who haven't won recently, so they're going to be hungry. Jason Day and Bubba Watson have not gotten to the winner's circle in a while, so this is a big event for them.
What was Bubba at before the tournament?
I don't remember. It wasn't huge because he's done well, and his track record in this event is pretty well documented. So I don't think he was massive odds, but still pretty good. Anytime you hit an outright, it's good. I mean, I had John Rahm last weekend. It was only like 11-1, but it's still 11-1. I mean, that's not a bad payoff. You go to the track. You go to the track and hit an 11-1. You're pretty happy.
Yep. I didn't know
he had it coming. I mean, if
course.
ever a guy deserved to win a tournament after what had happened to him 2 weeks prior with a 6-stroke lead and being told, well, that's it, you can't play the other 2 rounds because of the COVID. Actually, 1 round. There was some good karma heading his way, and he was great down the stretch, whereas everybody else faltered and deserved the win.
Allie, what's going on? Allie checks in.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Brady, yep, it was Bubba that broke his driver today.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. Hey, snapped the head off. I
didn't know that.
I didn't know how much of the round he had left, but I know he broke the driver. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I broke one club and it was at a practice range. It was a pitching wedge, and all of a sudden I'm standing there with just a stick in my hand. the club part had gone flying down the course. So I was like, what happened?
I don't golf anymore, but with my cheapness, I always bought used clubs, or what is it, Play It Again or something? Is that sports place that does the used equipment, used sports equipment? So I would always buy used clubs. So I'd snap them every once in a while, either hitting a ball, or I would swing hard and pull a fucking Jose Canseco around my back, wrap it around my back or something. So
no, that's the ony one I ever recall breaking.
I never did one. I never
did that.
Although no, I've hit clubs on the ground, but I've never had one snap.
I've generally not done that because it wasn't the club's fault.
Yeah, of course not. No.
Well, it wasn't. It was my fault. So I'd get mad at myself and curse like crazy. But the club it's like, hey, not your fault. If I'd have hit the ball where it was supposed to be hit, the shot wouldn't have gone 50 yards to the right.
Yeah. Yeah, I was playing on a course with a friend. We didn't really know the course, and I had a friend. I think it was probably like a mid iron. He hit a bad shot with a mid iron and decided to, just go with a 1-arm swing and throw the club, and then over a hill, and then he got over the hill, and there was a lake there.
Do you ever see anybody completely lose it on the course? I still remember this American Hockey League back in those days. Ronnie Gawashuk, he was not happy with his round, and on the 18th hole, there was water. It was Kirkbride, I believe, in Lincoln, Rhode Island. Bag, clubs, everything right into the water.
Really, the bag too, and the club. Oh
Yep.
shit!
He was not happy.
I've never done that.
Yeah, Garvey, he was a trip. Funny guy, really funny guy. He used to get in trouble with the coach all the time because he would misbehave, and he'd constantly be sent to the locker room at practice to ride the stationary bike. That was punishment back then. Had the most beautiful wife maybe I've ever seen.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a girl from Pawtucket. I don't remember her name. Nice girl too. They were nice people.
Yeah. Nice. This is so easy. Most likely, most likely company member currently to Rage Snap a Club. There's no one. Yeah, there's no one that's going to compete with me. Although I've calmed down. All time. If you,
No, I know who it is.
who is it? All time.
Producer that worked for the station for a while, and you remember the event at the miniature golf.
God damn, you have a good memory because that's where I was going.
Yep.
Yep.
And miniature. This is indoor miniature golf.
Yeah, Adam's brother says currently it's me. I would Rage Snap a Club, but all time it was Reynolds.
Yep, that was classic.
Reynolds worked at the station, then he moved on to VSiN, and yeah, we did the old guy triathlon, and we played mini golf at Kiss Mini Golf, and he was like flipping out the entire time. His team wound up losing. Like they didn't win. They finished second or third, and he actually walked out the front door, and I think he walked home.
Yeah, we were going someplace for dinner. Everybody was going for dinner, and he didn't go with us. He was not happy.
Walking up towards Paradise and Harmon. I don't know where he went, but he walked home.
And we went to dinner.
We did go to dinner, and we laughed.
Yes.
It wasn't that serious. I'm competitive. It wasn't that serious. Now that said, we did win. So
yeah, well, of course.
We had a pretty good run. That was actually the great thing about the old guy triathlon. It was like, Dave's a little older than me. I'm not exactly like Adonis, even 10 years ago. And these guys would talk shit about sports all the time. And we're like, all right, yeah, we'll do it. We'll pick 3 events. And like we consistently finished near the top or won. And then we had the younger guys who would talk shit about being athletes. And we're like, you guys can't win. What's going on here? You're bullshit on the air.
Against a middle-aged and a complete has-been. And Adam. Adam was our young guy.
Yeah, he was our young guy. He was our ringer.
Yeah. Adam can shoot the 3.
Adam's a good athlete.
Yeah.
Ryan Adams' brother, you saw me come to blows over a meaningless Jets game. Was that at a bar? Probably. That might have been, I don't even think it was over the Jets. Well, I don't want to like talk about all the times I've like nearly gotten in fights in Vegas, but was that upstairs at Westgate? I don't know. Yeah, and this is why we did it. Old guy triathlon. D Walker, old guy triathlon was great. If Seat was involved, he always cheated, but Dave worked with Seat for a long time. Seat was on with Mitch and Paul, and Seat of all the guys, because Paul talks a lot of trash too about what a great athlete he is, but Seat would always do it. So we're like, yeah, I mean, because for Dave and I, we had nothing to lose. Nothing. Yeah. We didn't brag about being, former college athletes or great high school athletes. And these guys would talk about it. And we're just like, they're boxed in at that point. They got to beat us.
Well, I couldn't brag about being a former great anything because I wasn't. There was no particular sport. My best sport was bowling, which, is my grandmother bowled. So I don't consider it a sport. It's a game.
But we did make sure to include bowling in at least 1 or maybe 2 of the old guy triathlons. That was kind of a sneaky move by us.
Yeah, well,
because it was at the time it was you, me, and Baker.
Right.
Baker's pretty solid. Baker can go out there and if he's decent, he's gonna roll like a 160 average, 150 average. You were in that range. I was in that range. So we knew going against, and again, not to bang on Seat, but he was not a bowler.
No. Mitch was the bowler.
Yes, he was. And Paul, not a bowler at all, like a 105 guy, unfortunately.
Yeah. He bowled worse than my girlfriend. He did.
Yes, it's a sport. Billiards is a sport. Yes.
Well, it is. Yeah.
It's fine.
It does, hand-to-eye coordination is required. So it does qualify, but it's not. You don't have to be in shape to do it. I'll argue I was a better bowler. Not like slam drunk, but a little bit buzzed because it actually, I chilled out. I wouldn't be as intense and I really didn't pay attention to the score and I just rolled. So that's the story I'm telling. I stopped being intense a long time ago because it was like, even if I'm at my best, I'm average. I mean, I had one great 9. I still talk about this, and I always will. If I get Alzheimer's, this is something I'll remember. Was 9 holes, 2 under at Paiute.
At Paiute?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You couldn't believe. I was with Andy Isco. He was a witness. I think Jim Feist was with me too. I just got on fire. I couldn't. I'm dropping 30-foot putts, and shot 2 under in the front 9, and then went out and shot 46 on the back. Triple bogeyed 10, triple bogeyed the 10th, and didn't even break 80.
Oh my God, 2 under and didn't break 80.
Yeah.
And you're not like, you don't spray the ball over the course because you kind of hit it low and straight. But Paiute's hard.
I hit the ball pretty well.
Yeah.
I used to get it out there about 260 on a regular basis.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty good. I was actually, I was a pretty good golfer.
Well, I'm
not real good by any means, but there was a brief period, and this was when I was doing radio, because this is when I was doing the Clubhouse show with Seat. We'd be off the air at 2:00, and I would go play golf every day. I didn't care how hot it was. I'd go out to Palm Valley or Highland Falls, and at that time there wasn't a whole lot of people in town. There weren't a whole lot of people in town. I had the course to myself in the summertime. It's 110 degrees. Nobody wanted to be out there. So I would basically have 2 practice rounds, because I played 2 balls. I wasn't keeping score.
Oh, yeah.
I would just, it's like, okay, I'm going to work on my game here. I did not like working on the range because it was boring. It was more fun to be out on the course. So I just stack up on water and Gatorade and tool around, particularly Palm Valley, and got to be pretty good. Because you play every day.
Yeah.
Or I'll say 5 rounds a week.
Right.
You'll get to be pretty good after a while.
Yeah.
And I had a respectable handicap, and then I started getting old, and I didn't play as much, and did not have a respectable handicap anymore, because the game gets away from you quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Jim checks in talking about Seat playing Division III baseball, the legend. Seat definitely played high school baseball. I mean, he said he played a little bit of junior college. He was a good baseball player.
Yeah.
I think he was, but again, like Dave just said, I mean, by the time we were challenging Seat to Old Guy Triathlon, Seat was like in his early 50s, and it does, unless
goes away.
Unless you're playing in a freaking senior baseball league, you're gonna, or some kind of softball league, you're gonna lose some of your skills when you get in your early 50s.
It is why what Mickelson did in winning a major at 51, that's amazing. It's never happened before, and I don't know that it'll ever happen again. That's because he's out there against guys half his age who can just crush the ball. And for him to beat them all in that one weekend, that's one of the more impressive. And I'm not a Phil Mickelson fan, to be honest with you. But that was really impressive. And I have to admit, I was kind of rooting for him at the end because he's an old guy. I think it might be the first time in several years I've rooted for Phil. I stopped rooting for Phil because of the Billy Walters thing.
What's up, Joe? Joe Esposito's in, the coach. We got to get Joe back in town soon.
By the way, exciting news. One of our former Lotus team members is moving back to Las Vegas and is going to be working at Visa. Chrissy Paradise, who's just a great girl. She was the girlfriend of our dear friend, Mark Seidel, who passed on. And I'm glad to see she's doing well and coming back out to Las Vegas. She's a real good kid.
We're going to have her. I'm going to try to get her in next week or the week after.
Cool.
Maybe before she gets here or right after she gets here. I'm sure, once she gets here, at least she's in our time zone. She's not up at 1:30 in the morning Eastern time because she's been in North Carolina the last couple of years. But yeah, she's good. She's good. So I reached out to her. I was like, glad you're coming back. It's cool.
Yeah, I did too. I don't remember. I saw it, I guess, on our Facebook page. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. And she'll do great. She's very talented.
She's a really good guest booker. She's a really good producer. I guess we can answer this like as much as we know. So yeah, Paulie's done. Ray was asking anyone know what's going on with Paul Howard. He hasn't been on VSiN in weeks. He was on William Hill. So he's done the last 3 William Hill shows, to my knowledge. He was on today. They announced last week that he was suspended. He had tweeted that I agree with the suspension. I don't know exactly what's going on and the severity. I don't think it's like a cancel culture deal. Paul's not one to, I mean, you get a little loose with the the language, but nothing. You wouldn't get in trouble for anything like that. So
I know what it is, but I'm not at liberty to say it's not my place to say. If he wants to volunteer the information, that's fine, but I can't.
But I don't think he's back next week. So that'll be the beginning of the 5th week of his suspension. So maybe VSiN will indicate what the issue is at some point. But if you read through a lot of the threads, you can kind of piece it together, maybe what the problem is. So, but like Dave said, that's not our
right.
It's not our place to be breaking news.
It's up to him whether he wants to talk about it or not.
Yeah,
not up to me.
Or VSiN or DraftKings or whatever's going on. So. Sorry,
By the way, I should point out we have a new talent joining Wager Talk. A young lady by the name of Jo Madden. She's from Alberta, Canada, and I noticed. What's that?
No, I've seen some of the videos. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
She's good.
Yeah,
she's a rising star. She knows her stuff. She's going to be hosting shows. She'll be contributing handicapping information, and give her a follow on Twitter. At Jo Madden, JOMADDEN, not the baseball manager, not that Joe Madden.
Ray, I don't know. I mean, I assume he's coming back. When they announced the suspension, they said it was temporary. So,
right.
So that's what we know. But in the meantime, you can hear him on Friday nights, 6:00, William Hill Radio Show. He does the show solo, so he's still on radio. He's on with us.
I have a question to ask our audience tonight. Because I'm wondering about this myself. Who's more fun to watch? Now, we're not saying who's necessarily the most valuable player, but who's more fun to watch right now? Shohei Ohtani or Fernando Tatis Jr.? That's a tough one to answer. They're both really exciting and, of course, sensationally talented. By the way, Tatis, 3 homers, a great defensive play. I think he had 4 hits overall tonight. And Ohtani led off the game with a home run. The Angels did eventually lose, but we know what he's doing. And for me, I'm a baseball fan, obviously, but they're like must-see TV for me. I hate it when they're both on the West Coast because it's like, well, wait a minute, which one do I watch now? But tonight it was great because the Angels are back east. Padres are out in San Diego, so I watched both, and both came through with exciting performances. It's great. I hope baseball does it smart because they've got 2 absolute international superstars here in these 2 guys. Not to take anything away from anybody else. Vladdy Guerrero is a great player. Jacob deGrom. I mean, you definitely want to watch Jacob deGrom. But for sheer, just let's see what happens next. Shohei and Tatis, for me, are my 2 favorite guys to watch. So do you have a personal favorite?
So far, it's pretty split. We're getting some more Ohtanis now. Let's see. Ohtani would be more fun if the Angels won more. All right.
I'll go along with that. It would be more fun if they were. Tatis wouldn't be as much fun if the Padres sucked and he was the only guy doing anything on the team. The fact they're contending and playing really exciting ball, that helps. I think if I were just from a baseball standpoint, because he pitches and his bat speed is unbelievable and is fast, I guess Ohtani. I've never seen anybody like him, ever. I mean, he's doing Babe Ruth stuff, and I'm old, but I'm not that old. I never saw him except on highlights. We're seeing history. We're actually seeing history with him and deGrom. Please, deGrom, stay healthy, because he's got a chance to put together one of the greatest seasons in the history of baseball.
Dave, what's the earliest you can get daily baseball numbers?
Well, they're up overnight.
They are, okay.
Yeah, they're usually out by the middle of the afternoon.
Oh, okay. Is that game up? Is deGrom up now?
Yeah, I'll have to go to my.
I got it right here.
I don't have my screen, but it'll only take a minute for me to get it up. Of course, actually, it'll take a little more than that because my computer is getting old.
deGrom's 270 against Zach Eflin and the Phillies.
Okay. Well, no bargains there, and I wouldn't lay 270 with the Mets, even with deGrom. They can't hit. I mean, he might have to go out and pitch a shutout. No, they might be able to get some runs off Eflin, who hasn't been good on the road. But I don't like laying big prices like that.
Right. I don't think there's a number on this, Mayor Vegas, if he wins the Cy and the MVP, but it's not 1 to 5. So
no,
he's
not going to win the MVP.
You would get a good number on it. They are, I think it's a team. I think the latest they're 9-3 when he starts. So I suppose if he gets, if he got like I don't know if he got 19 more starts, something like that, 18 more starts, and they went like 17-1, and they finished like 26-4.
Yeah,
he could be in the running.
I suppose.
Dave, if his ERA is like Bob Gibson ERA, then he's going to be up for consideration.
Right, but there are some voters who will absolutely, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that I know what they'll do. They will not vote for a pitcher for MVP. And their rationalization is, well, he's only pitching 100 out of every 5 games, and position players are therefore more valuable. I think if you held the MVP voting today in the National League, Tatis would be.
Then that's the problem. That's the biggest problem is we just mentioned 2 spectacular players in each league. The problem is, and I mentioned this to you before, we talked about it like 3 weeks ago because people were working out the numbers, even with that time Tatis missed, like he was like on a 50-43 pace, like a 50 homer 40, and the 50 homer thing, he's certainly on that pace because I think they're like 73 games in. He's got 25 home runs.
He get 3 tonight, so he's got 25 now. So he's ahead of the 50 pace. And he hasn't even gotten into the real good weather where the ball really carries in baseball. We're just getting into that now. I think the American League MVP is more interesting because Guerrero has a chance to win a Triple Crown. And there's Ohtani, who won't face the same bias as pitchers face because he's playing every day as well. That's going to be really interesting. Just if it were today, that's a tough one. I think I'd go Ohtani, but I can't argue against Guerrero either.
Someone said, "Is DeGrom? Does he have the best stuff you guys have ever seen?
Ever? No,
yeah.
Well, tough to say. I mean, Pedro in 1998. You're going to be tough. It's going to be tough to top him. The numbers he put up that year
in the Roy era,
his earned run average was like 2 runs better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Anybody. And it was impossible to hit him. I mean, you guys throw a 97, and then he's thrown from the same arm slot. He's throwing a 73 changeup. Good luck.
99. He went 23-4. He had a 2.07 ERA. He had 313 strikeouts in 213 innings.
Unbelievable.
Back to back Cy. And by the way, I'll have to look this up. 99. He finished second in the MVP. So there you go. There's the DeGrom comparison. 99. Does anyone know off the top of their head who the MVP was? I'll look it up.
I don't remember. The other thing that I'll mention, and this isn't fair to DeGrom, but I'll mention it anyway, is
Dave. Let me just answer it real quick. Ivan Rodriguez won the MVP over Pedro in 99. Catcher, which you got to show a lot of respect for, hit 332, 35, 113, and stole 25 bases.
That's a pretty good year.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to say on DeGrom is he is, and this is going to sound like I'm taking away from what he's doing, which I don't mean to do that. But he is pitching in a way more favorable atmosphere than Pedro did. Not just the steroids, but the fact that the game has become much more of a 3 true outgun game where guys are just swinging for the fence. They really aren't very good offensively. They either hit the ball a mile or they strike out. And they strike out the strikeouts are ridiculous. We're seeing guys who aren't even strikeout pitchers who are averaging more than a strikeout per inning. So you get a guy with the stuff DeGrom has, they have no chance. They're overmatched because they don't know how to hit. And I'll go. Harold Reynolds has made this point. He thinks the coaching that's being done, as far as hitting's concerned, stinks. That's not the exact word he used, but he's right. These guys don't know how to hit. You watch these games. Why do you think the shift is so successful? They can't hit the opposite way.
Yep.
I mean, it's not. I'm sorry, for a major league. For me, it might be tough, but for a major league hitter, you should be able to dump the ball down the third base. If you're a lefty hitter and they're all on the other side of the field, you should be able to just dump the ball down the left side of the field. That's it.
Yep. So now here's a great question. M. Garcia says, wasn't Ivan on roids? Dave, let me read you the top 10 in the MVP, right? And you tell me definitively who was not, right? Rodriguez, right? Can't say. Pedro, I actually think Pedro dabbled in it. Roberto Alomar, Manny Ramirez, give me a break. Manny was tied for third in the MVP. He was 44 and 165. Palmeiro, we know he did. Jeter, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Jeter fan. I have no idea. I mean, he might have been. Garcia Parra, I'm probably. Jason Giambi, of course.
I actually don't think Nomar did.
Really?
Because one of the things that really helped that these guys got a lot of help with was injury recovery. And Nomar couldn't stay on the field. Nomar was a Hall of Fame talent. He really was. He was a great player, and the injuries just ruined him. So I suspect that Nomar probably didn't do it.
99 for offense was Carlos Delgado hit 44 homers and 134 runs driven in. He was 12th in the MVP. I mean, it's so crazy. What an era.
Insane. It was insane.
Yeah.
But you know what?
And even if Pedro did do it, so I mean the numbers were just mind-boggling. So.
Well, and the thing is, it's people look askance at that era now. Oh, everybody was cheating. They were getting big crowds, and the fans loved it. Okay, so
wow.
Dave,
what do you think of this? DeGrom MVP at the Westgate is 225. You know what? If you give me Tatis at 350, I'm taking
Really?
If I can get a head-to-head bet, well, one of them might not win, but I think that's crazy. I think the Westgate's crazy on that. But if people are betting it,
yeah, I guess it reflects the market. But I know who I'd be taking at plus 350, especially given DeGrom's possible injury issues.
Yeah.
Which again, I hope don't enter into the picture. But he has had to leave games early, and he did have 1 10-day stint on the injured list already. But I hope it doesn't happen because I want to see what he can end up with in 30 plus starts.
Dave, what do you think of this week with a couple of days where the manager were going crazy and having the pitchers looked at and Scherzer flipped out, ready to drop his pants?
One of the guys did drop his pants. I forget who it was.
That was Scherzer. Scherzer started to drop it.
It was another guy.
Someone actually. Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. I saw it last night. It's like, that's funny. I hate the whole idea. I understand there's a problem. To me, you don't do this in the middle of the season. It was Sergio Romo. Thank you. Way to go, Joe. I mean, I understand there's an issue, but it's embarrassing the way they're going about this. And the Girardi thing was, I mean, he's so full of crap. I mean, he makes a point of saying, well, I'm not going to engage in any gamesmanship. And then he does.
Yep.
No wonder Scherzer wanted to fight him. By the way, that you might want to avoid that one, Joe. I don't think Scherzer's a guy I want pissed off at me or at anybody on my team.
So supposedly when Girardi was coming out waving at someone to fight him, it was actually Kevin Long, his former hitting.
That's what I heard. Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, I'm not sure who I'd make the favorite in that one.
Yeah.
But you don't want to tangle with Scherzer. I mean, I can't say whether Max Scherzer is a great fighter or not. Obviously, it's not his sport. But given his intensity and his size,
he's a big guy.
I think that's a guy you might want to avoid tangling with.
Let's see. I wanted to get an earlier comment in. I think it's gone now. Anyway.
He pulled the Steve Lyons. I like that.
First of all, Dave, what do you think of tonight in hockey? Lightning move on. Another awesome game.
Yeah, and first time it's ever happened, a 1-0 Game 7 where the only goal was a shorthanded goal. I thought Tampa would win. I bet Tampa minus a half goal in the first period at plus money, so I didn't win that because it ended up 0-0. But they dominated the first period. Islanders put up a tremendous fight. I mean, the Tampa was a much more talented team, and the Islanders took them to the limit. Great job by Barry Trotz, as usual. His teams play his system, and they play it beautifully. And I thought the Islanders really acquitted themselves well. And honestly, it was a way more exciting series than the one our team was involved in. They just didn't play very well, and the Canadians turned out to be better than people thought, which I didn't think they were going to win this series, but I knew they were better than people thought they were. Part of the Canadians' problem this year was twofold. One, they had a lot of injury issues.
Right.
And two, they were absolutely terrible in overtime. But that overtime rule doesn't exist in the playoffs. No more 3-on-3s, no more shootouts. And I think they had 10 straight losses in overtimes in the regular season. So, they were a little better than people thought, and they were much better. They were simply the better team in this series. That fourth line of theirs was sensational. Caulfield is a rising superstar who wasn't with them in the regular season. I don't think they're going to roll over against Tampa. I think that the Lightning are going to win the series, but I'm not laying 270 to find out.
Viewers, what do you think? Is Montreal going to get blown out of the series and make VGK look even worse?
I think they'll get blown out. I would, if I am going to bet anything, I might take a look and see what the plus 2.5 games is. Be a prop, but I think they can win 2 games. And if they win 2 games, then they cover plus 2.5. So if Tampa gets them in 6 or 7, that bet can still win. So I'll see what the price on that is. I haven't looked. Look, this is not one of those series where you can come out of it and say, "Boy, we got robbed." Had they forced a game 7, they might have stolen it, because the Canadians were just the better team in this series. It wasn't fluky. They outplayed the Golden Knights by a pretty good margin. I did think I would have liked to have seen a change in tactics by the Golden Knights, because they couldn't get anything done in the neutral zone. And I think I would have liked to have seen more dump and chase. I know that's not their style, but what they were doing wasn't working. No. So I would have liked to have seen, let's give something else a shot and see what happens. But look, it was kind of unlucky in the overtime, because they almost scored right away in the overtime, and Price turned them away. And then once again, they got beat defensively. That was the constant in this series, was getting beat up the ice. And there were a couple plays. Look, sometimes you got to take a penalty. The goal by Caulfield, or where he just blew past McNabb, trip him. Okay? Just stick your stick out and take the 2 minutes. Because once he got by, he had a great angle, and it was like, oh, this guy's going to score. And he did. Take the 2 minutes. It wasn't at an angle where he was going to get a penalty shot. So you're short-handed for 2 minutes. There are times when it's a good thing to take a penalty. And I thought McNabb I'm not going to say gave up, but it's like he got blown away. And you got to let him throw the flag in that situation, all right? It's like pass interference. If you're not a big hockey guy and follow football, there are times when defensive pass interference is actually a good penalty. It's better than giving up a touchdown. So I thought that was a big mistake by McNabb, and it happened a couple of times, not more than a couple of times in this series, where somebody got behind the defense, and it's like, don't try and chase him down. Just grab him, hook him, whatever. So they'll call a penalty on you, and they might not even call it, because in the playoffs, they don't exactly blow the whistle that much.
By the way, I was looking back on June 15th, when I think the Lightning were down 1-0 in the series against the Islanders. I actually got them at 3-1 to win the Stanley Cup. So when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, they're down 1-0. They're the favorite. They've been the favorite for the longest time. Give me a break on the 3-1. So I guess for me, I'll hope that Montreal goes down 1-0 and looks terrible in the first game, and then the number on Montreal for the series is ridiculous, and I'll probably play that back. So
that's not bad. It's not a bad idea. Yeah. I don't think they're getting blown out. They're just playing at too high a level for that right now, and they're an extremely confident team at this point.
Well, it's funny, and the Mayor Vegas says, good one, Steve. Believe me, I freaking regret not doing that with Montreal in this last series, when after game 1, it was minus 1,100 on the Knights, and you could get the Canadians at 7-1. I don't know why I didn't do that, but dumbass. But, at game, they look so bad in game 1. We're on here talking about Montreal style. We're like, okay, it's gonna be a walkover, and then all the rest of the series, it's like they're the better team.
Yep.
They just are.
And they got progressively better. Let's call it straight. The Golden Knights lost their confidence. I don't think there's any question about that.
I think they got broken mentally, and then they started rushing. And I mentioned it a couple times on the air, listening to Gary Lawless in Game 5 as they were trying to come back, and he got completely pissed off. He's like, they're not being patient. This is just sloppy. They're not building the foundation. They're just rushing. This is baloney.
That's why I wanted to see some dump and chase, because they were just trying to make perfect passes in the neutral zone, and they just weren't happening. And look, we got to call it straight. Mark Stone had a phenomenal season. He had a miserable series against the Canadians. I don't know whether it's an injury that he was playing through, but he's never looked this bad. I mean, since day one when Mark Stone got here, he's been as good a player as we've had on this team. And I guarantee he'd be the first one to tell you that he had a really bad series. Really bad.
What do you think about the tired factor? That we talked about it today. That Montreal, was kind of used to traveling all over Canada in the north, and then there wasn't a whole lot of travel except for the trip to Minnesota for the Golden Knights.
No, I don't think that's an issue.
No,
they got beat by a team that's better than they are right now. Yeah. They weren't in the regular season, and coming into this series, they weren't. I mean, the Golden Knights were flying. They had every reason. Maybe the Golden Knights were a little overconfident. You just beat Colorado, which was supposed to be the team to beat. They beat them in 4 straight after going down 0-2. They're playing the worst seed in the playoffs. It's like, this is going to be easy. And the problem is, once you turn the light off, sometimes it's tough to, it's tough to find that light switch in the dark. And they just kind of stumbled around and never found it.
Right.
And in actuality, they almost got lucky. They won a game in overtime that they probably shouldn't have won. And
definitely.
They certainly weren't the better team in Game 6 and got that to overtime.
Yeah.
So, they almost stole a couple of games. And, of course, they gave away one. And sad to say, that might be the last thing we see from Marc-Andre Fleury, basically. He did play one more game, but I have a feeling he might not be here next year. And that's the way it goes. That's a tough way to tough way to lose. And it was just a horrible mistake that he made. It doesn't take away from what he did. He's been the guy on this team for 4 years. And if that's it for Flower in Las Vegas, thanks for some awesome memories. No cup, but boy, some pretty close a couple of times. And the 4-year run this team's had for an expansion team is still, there's never been anything like it in sports. So no grand prize, but they've been pretty goddamn good. By the way, can I mention this?
Yeah.
Who are these asshats that were booing them at home? Are you kidding me? I mean, that was disgusting.
Chat room, what do you think? Dave, I've been saying all week, the booze, I don't mind the booze.
I do. I don't ever boo. I've never booed anything except the lack of effort. Lack of effort's one thing. Lack of execution, no. I mean, if a guy doesn't give a shit, if the team's playing like that, you want to boo the Diamondbacks because what they've been doing on the field is embarrassing. And I think a lot of it has to do with a lack of focus. That's one thing. You can boo that, and the Golden Knights they were playing hard. They just weren't getting it done in this series. And that, to me, you don't boo your own guys in situations like that. You want to cheer for them even harder there. Try and get them revved up. Booing them after what they've done for this town in 4 years? Whew, man. What's the alternative? Booing. Cheer harder. I mean, listen, if I was around some bad teams, okay, some really bad teams growing up, and I can tell you the players appreciated it when the fans it's like, come on, you can hang in there, guys. They hated it when they got booed. It's like, yeah, thanks, bunch of front runners. And to me, it's nothing worse than front runners. Like, you're not a fan if you're a front runner. You're either a fan or you're not. Okay, I never stopped cheering for the Red Sox, despite the fact that they went my entire life doing nothing but losing. Losing when it mattered, or when I was a kid, just losing all the time. They were in last place or next to last place every season. Uh, the concept of booing them never even occurred to me, unless somebody dogged it on the field. And if that happened, let him have it. And no problem with that whatsoever. Even Carl Yastrzemski, he had one little period in his career where he just wasn't giving it his all. And, he didn't run out a few ground balls, and they let him have it. And I was fine with that. But no, I didn't see anybody in the Golden Knights. Can you name me a player that was dogging it?
Well, I thought Mark Stone. I mean, I thought all 3 goals in the game were, the end of the play. They scored a goal on a little bit of a lack of effort in terms of the guys getting back. I saw guys coasting. Dave, a lot of the plays, the Canadians had a breakout. The initial player gets down there and then makes a pass back or sideways, and then the next player down is open because someone's kind of coasting down the ice. Mark Stone knows. Mark Stone didn't bust his ass on that play.
I've said this a couple times. I don't know if I said it. I think
Holden didn't bust his ass on the goal that got scored.
That was a bad one.
Okay,
that was a bad one.
I mean,
I have a feeling Mark Stone. I don't think Mark Stone's going to say it. I think he was hurt.
I think he was too.
I think he was playing through some kind of an injury.
Yep.
Because he's not the greatest skater in the world, but he just looked slow, and these guys are in shape, so it wasn't fatigue. So I think there was some kind of an injury there. On Holden, that was a really bad play.
Dogged it is strong. I think they would all admit, man, I didn't bust my ass, or maybe I underestimated just how fast the play was developing, and I really needed to work to get back on the play and cover my guy, or my guy in that situation. I think all of them would admit that they could have done a better job of getting back.
Yeah, that was the big problem. And Montreal's got a lot of speed, especially that kid. Jesus, is he good? Wow, is he going to have a career?
Caulfield and Byron and Josh Anderson's a bigger guy, but he's fast as hell too. So yeah, they got shocked by their speed, but I mean, by game 5 and 6, it can't be shocking anymore. You got to get back.
Well, but nevertheless, it was a hell of a season.
Yeah.
And
all right, so Dave, we started talking about one of the big rumors now, or speculation that started a couple weeks ago by Wyshynski was Knights don't get it done. They make a run at Jack Eichel from the Sabres. I think he's making 10 a year. So where does that money come from? Do you go and finish off the goalie situation? One of them has to go, and then from there, who else has moved?
Well, first of all, I'm not all that crazy about that idea. Really? Jack Eichel's a good player, and he's been surrounded by junk, but I don't know that he's quite at the level some people think that he deserves to be. And he's, again, good player, game changer. I don't know. And let's face it, he's done nothing but lose. Now you can say that that's not his fault, but that's not bringing a winning culture in. I wouldn't overpay for him. Let's put it that way. And I think the pieces are there right now for this team to be really, really good again next year. It's not like they're going to lose a lot of these guys. There's going to be some tinkering, but I think that the nucleus of this team should remain the nucleus of this team. I mean, they're really good. They lost a tiebreaker for the best record in the league.
Right.
You don't break apart something like that. You just try and get a little bit better in some spots. I actually think they will be better. They've got some inexperienced guys that gained valuable experience this year and are probably going to be better players next year. Now, there's a couple of other guys that are getting long in the tooth, and they might have to make a decision there. And they are going to have to figure out what to do in goal.
Yep. Well, we know what's going to happen. I think the fight from upstairs is going to be done, and McPhee's going to show Foley like we can't keep both. Come on.
Right, and I think unfortunately, with his age, I think Maff is probably going to be the one to go.
Yeah.
And hopefully there'll be one of the young guys will be able to come up and be a good number 2 goalie.
Right.
Because you got to have a number 2. You can't lay it all on number 1. By the way, does anybody think it would have been a different outcome? I don't, by the way. But does anybody think it would have been a different outcome if Leonard played Game 5? I thought he would. I thought he'd come back with Leonard after Leonard won Game 4 for him with that breakaway save. But Fleury was okay in Game 5, so it wasn't his fault they lost that game. But
the chances the Canadians had were just outrageous.
Yeah.
Now that with Leonard in there, I have no idea how the game plays out. But I wasn't mad at Fleury for any of the goals given up.
No, not in that game. No, Game 5 he was fine. They got 3 goals, and none of them were on him. They've got some money to play with. I know that. So we'll see what happens.
So let me.
And I think they're going to cut loose a few guys. I think there's a good chance Reeves has probably played his last game here.
Why?
Well, he's not indispensable, and I think if they can move him, they will. I think he will be somebody that would be an add-on in a trade where they could relieve themselves of salary. In other words, they're not going to make him the focal point of a deal, but if they can lose some of that, if they can lose some older guy's salary, not a knock on Reeves. He's unfortunate. He's not a young guy. Okay, so his best years have probably already been played. So if they can move him, I think they might. Some other guys, I don't think they want to move at all. And wouldn't even consider moving. And we'll see. McPhee's pretty good at this stuff, so I'm not too worried. He hasn't made too many wrong moves out here. I think you muted yourself.
I did. I got to close with a couple of food pictures, a couple of food stories. But before that, I've got video of the week, which we'll probably hit on this on the radio show on Monday or Tuesday. But I think you'll like this story. So I'll set this up. This is down in Arizona. And there was a UFC event down in Arizona. And the mayor of Glendale went to the UFC event. And, as most events, you can't get out of the garage real quickly. But I guess the mayor wanted to flex his muscle and was going to do whatever he wanted to do. And got into it with one of the parking attendants. So as it turned out, the parking attendant finds out that the mayor called up or was trying to get him fired. And the parking attendant was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to show up to the open comments portion of the city council meeting. And I think I'm going to tell my story. And guess what? At those settings, what's the mayor going to do? Tell him to shut up. So this is it's only like 2 minutes. So I'll play it here for you. And this is pretty interesting.
That Gila River Arena employee went to the public comment to let the other council members know what happened inside that parking arena with the mayor. And let's just say he was not holding back at all.
He then told me to eat and die. My response was appropriate. It was, you, get out of my garage.
Those words allegedly over exiting a parking garage. In Glendale's Tuesday City Council meeting, Gila River Arena employee Robert Neybauer comes to public comment to let the other council members know what Mayor Jerry Weyers said to him. Neybauer said his job was to make sure people safely exit the parking garage. And after June 12th's UFC fights, he claims Mayor Weyers started trying to go around cars to get out faster.
He was going fast enough, he would have rear-ended the people that were stopped in front of him. I yelled at him to stop and head out the north exit. He pulled up alongside me. He rolled the window down. He said, "Can the attitude. You don't want to get started with me." Well, I replied, "You don't want to get started with me. Go out the north exit the way I'm instructing you."
That's when Neybauer said he would call more security because the mayor was holding up traffic, and things escalated.
He then told me to eat and die. My response was appropriate. It was, you, get out of my garage. I found out later from a hotel employee that when he got to the top of the ramp there, he told the employee that the guy in the garage should be terminated. I'm the mayor. I was about to get out of my car and kick his.
Neybauer says the mayor's office called Gila River Arena asking for him to be terminated after the incident, though he was not. He had one more thing to say to the mayor face-to-face on Tuesday.
Sir, if you'd like to kick my ass, I'd be happy to meet you at any boxing gym in the valley. We'll put on the gloves and get in the ring, and I'll give you a shot at the title.
Mayor Wires ended the meeting abruptly after.
Okay, folks, with that, the adjournment, there being no further business before this council tonight, I'd like to thank everyone most everybody for attending tonight's meeting.
We asked the city for comment on the incident, to which they said the mayor is not providing comment at this time.
Oh, is that right? Oh, the mayor has nothing to say now, huh? Oh, that's tremendous. Great move by that guy.
I like it. Good deal.
I love it.
Guy's just doing his job. And by the way, mayor of Glendale.
Yeah.
You're a mayor of a suburb. Okay.
Yep.
Congratulations.
But Dave, I'm not saying it's all politicians. There are so many local public servants
Oh yeah.
who are so goddamn full of themselves
Yep.
and, threaten, like, who the fuck are you? We elected you. Dial it down, tough. How about you can the attitude?
Yeah, really. Yeah, but it's politicians. I mean, I growing up in the third ward in Providence, I'm familiar with them. They're the same, and basically they're the same in both parties, by the way. So I have no idea I don't know what the political affiliation of that mayor is. Doesn't matter to me. It's the same on both sides. Yeah, there you go. Do you know who I am?
Yep. Classic.
So I guess that he won't be nominating the parking garage guy for deputy mayor.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the class thing, and see, here's the thing. The mayor could have diffused this right at this meeting.
Yep.
Say, you know what? I'm sorry.
Yep.
I was having a rough night and just, wasn't in a very good mood. I shouldn't have barked at you. Let's go out and have a beer.
Yep.
That's it. It's over. Done.
Yep.
Instead, he sat there like Mr. Smug, and I'd like to thank you all for attending. Well, almost all of you.
Yep.
Okay. You're a twit, Mayor. And by the way, based on what took place, I have a feeling the parking lot guy was telling exactly the truth, and I have no evidence of that, but call me biased, but I'm casting my vote on the side of the gentleman from the parking garage.
All right, let me give you a food photo. I posted this earlier tonight. It was not received well. It's more barbecue. We had some bad barbecue photos we put up last week.
This is not Mark McMillan stuff.
I simply asked, Judge Dan and Mark McMillan, hey, what do you think of this? This is a beef brisket with mac and cheese and the beans. So here we go. Mac and cheese, not looking too bad. All right.
Let's see.
What do you think of the meat, Dave?
I don't know. It doesn't look like. Honestly, it doesn't look like the greatest brisket I've ever seen.
No, it doesn't.
The presentation is not particularly good.
No. Plopping it down is not great.
I mean, presentation, if you're going to take a photo of food, the presentation has to be better.
Yeah. That was my first thought was it did look a bit dry.
Yeah.
Fatty's not the worst thing, but dry.
No, brisket's supposed to have a little bit of fat.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite that level, but it doesn't look.
Brady says it's a bit skimpy on the meat. He's making the allegation that it's squirrel meat.
Well, and the most important part is, how did it taste?
That's a good question. Let's get some more comments. Uncle Pecos, a little overcooked.
Yeah, well, that's preference. I mean, I don't like well done meat, so
yeah.
For me, but some people might like it medium. So
Truth says looks good to me. Okay. Ray says overcooked.
I'm siding with that, but again, I'm biased. I'm a rare to medium rare guy.
This is actually we did get a photo of our Derek Chauvin's first house meal.
Well, maybe the beans part, but that's about it.
What's up, Chief? Chief says, Dave, you're the best. Cheers from Boston, Mass, buddy.
Right back at you.
Thanks, Chief.
Got a friend going back to Boston. She's going to be seeing Fenway Park for the first time, and I said,
Nice.
I said, go check out Legal Seafood while you're there. Get some real steamers, which she's never had before.
Famous.
She's never had real steamers. And I said, you'll have to get somebody to show you how to eat them because, well, you have it. If you don't know how to eat them, it can be confusing. You got to peel it out and then dip it in the broth and then dip it in the butter and then pound it. But that's the only thing I miss about New England. I obviously don't miss the weather. I love it out here, but I do miss New England seafood, and I guess I always will. And clam cakes. There are no clam cakes out here. It's a shame.
What are clam cakes? Like crab cakes?
Yeah, only with clams instead. Fantastic. Oh, God, they're so good. We have some food in Rhode Island that go out to Galilee by the ocean. I mean, it's just, it's amazing. It's just great. But I haven't been there for a long, long time, and I don't anticipate going back. So I'll have to go without real steamers. What we have out here is a poor substitute for steamers, and no clam cakes, and ridiculous prices on some of the shellfish. But that's the one penalty you pay in Las Vegas. Outside, and the upside is we got steaks out here are fantastic. There's so many good steakhouses in this city.
Oh yeah.
It's just, and if you're a steak lover, and I am, you can't go through all the great places. It's impossible. There's just so many.
I saw you getting in your feelings, which is cool. I saw you send out a tweet about, hey, you're really fired up to be back out having good friends. Did you hit a steak place this week?
Yeah, we were at Fleming's this week. A bunch of us went to Fleming's. Had a great time there. Meeting some friends next week at Nora's, which is still one of the great Italian restaurants in town. Been doing a lot of that now. We had a dinner down at Circa. We're doing another one next week. No, the week after that at Barry's. So getting back to pre-pandemic ways, hanging out with friends and doing great dinners. That for me, especially at my age, that's what I want to do, is hang out with friends and go out for great dinners. I don't care about clubs and I don't care about drinking anymore. I'm too old for that. And women, well, they don't give a shit about me anymore. So I'll go for the food.
Yeah, for Chief, we do these every day, Monday to Friday, and Dave's in on Fridays. So yeah, check in if you can. We do them at either 9:00 Pacific or 10:30. Friday nights are 10:30. What was the other? Allie was actually raving about going to Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse. I don't know if you've been there. Are you a beef?
I have not been to Gordon Ramsay.
Are you a beef Wellington guy?
No.
She said that was awesome.
I want the steak.
Yeah.
I don't need any sauce on it. Okay. You give me a prime steak, I'm happy. Especially if it's a really good filet or a good ribeye.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm not, and the filet, I don't want filet Oscar or anything else. I don't need any sauce. The steak is supposed to be perfect the way it is. So no, I'm not.
You have raved about Jackson's as the value steak in town. Jackson's
the prime rib. It's a good prime rib deal.
They do it pretty well in terms of cooking it the right way.
I like mine rare, medium rare tops, and they always it always comes out right. I haven't been there since before the pandemic, but no, that's your value prime rib. I mean, it's not Laurie's, okay?
Right.
But you're also out of there for, like, if you leave a good tip, it's $25, and that's with the tip, and you get a nice little salad and a baked potato. I mean, not every meal has to be in a fancy place. You want some value too, and theirs is very good.
It is very good.
I Black Bear, when they only do prime rib every once in a while. When they do it, it's a good deal.
All right, good.
I also found a place, Hearthstone. It's called Hearthstone.
Yeah. Yep.
Prime rib solid, and not terribly expensive. It's like, I think, in the $30 range, which is pretty good.
Do you always just get the regular cut, or you start going queen or king cut?
Depends how hungry I am.
Yeah.
There's times when I'll go English cut because I like it cut thin.
Really?
As long as they're giving you the same amount. Yeah. And it's got to be obviously the gravy's got to be good. Got to have flavorful au jus.
I will say there is nothing more disappointing than being fired up for prime rib and then getting like a really shitty cut.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
it
won't.
pisses me
I won't mention the places where that's happened because I'm not here to trash anybody. But
Yeah.
there have been some that's like isn't very good. It's
I
chewy
went.
as hell.
I went to one of the downtown cafes, and it's a pretty good place, and they have good food there. But man, I got it one night, and I was like, come on,
Oh, you know what? And
I was so fired up.
I never get down to the Strip anymore, but Ellis Island had. I assume they still have a fabulous prime rib.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Always
will
give
tell
a
you what.
good sized helping and always nice and tender.
I have no idea what it's like now. When I first came to town, like late '90s, early 2000s, I like value. One of my favorite places to get prime rib because it was actually a pretty decent cut was Skyline. But I have no
Never
idea.
had there.
They've jacked up the price now. I mean, it's still only like freaking $13 or something, but
I don't even know where that is.
it's on Boulder Highway at the end of Sunset.
Oh, okay.
The end of Sunset is right there. Yeah.
That's the one area of town that I have never been familiar with.
Yeah.
I've been to Sam's Town like 3 times in my life. It was always at the opposite end of the spectrum for me. It's like, I don't want to drive all the way out there. So, Sam's Town, Texas Station, the hotels in that area. Well, Texas Station, I think we did a show from there.
Well, Texas is on Rancho. It's Sam's Town, Boulder Station, now the Cannery. Used to be
Oh,
Nevada.
that's right. Yeah.
Joker's
But
Wild is further down.
I only went to those places if I had to be out there.
Right.
It's just I'm not a big driver. By the way, I just got a new car. Just a little piece of advice.
Yeah.
If you are in the market for a new car, not a used car, but a new car, you couldn't ask for a better time to get one than right now. I got it. They need inventory. They need used car inventory. So I traded in my E class, and I only got a C class. I downgraded because I don't, with this thing, I don't like driving at night much anymore. So this might be a record. I had my most recent Mercedes for 2 years.
Right.
Had 5,200 miles on it.
What?
I didn't go anywhere in the last year.
I would have bought it off you. Shit.
Well, they gave me at Fletcher Jones. They gave me a
I'm
phenomenal
sure
deal.
They
But
tricked you.
they have no new car inventory. So I really got a good deal on this C300. It's a nice car. It's not as much car as I'm used to having, but I don't need it at this point. And I like it very much. But if you're looking for a new car, boy, and you've got a decent vehicle to trade in,
Right.
you'll do really well on the trade in right now. And
So
it
let me
probably won't be the
I
case
think
next year because by that time the inventory is way back to normal,
Right.
and you won't get the same deals. So that's all I'm telling you.
What are you saying?
is-
They don't have new car inventory. They don't have
Yeah.
used car inventory.
Well, they need both, but the new car inventory I've never seen. I drove to a couple places because I like whenever I'm in the market for new.
Right.
I know where I'm going to end up, but I always like to drive around anyway and check out the vehicles because I just
Right.
like looking at new cars. And it's the same all over town. I can't say on the lower end cars I don't know because it's not like I wasn't going to some dealerships where it wasn't going to get a car. But in the higher end, I mean, there's nothing there.
Oh,
The
wow.
cars are sitting wherever, overseas or in terminals or wherever. There's nothing on the floor. Did I change the oil? Yeah, of course. I had my.
Well, but I mean, the joke is it's 5,200 miles. That's
Yeah,
the joke.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I don't think I put on. I guarantee you, the last year, I don't think I put 1,000 miles on.
Wow.
Where did I go? I didn't go anyplace.
Yeah.
The longest drive I had was to Summerlin. Literally, the longest drive I made since we closed down was to Summerlin. This new car is going to get more miles on it in a hurry because I'm going to San Diego in a couple of weeks, and obviously I'm not walking. So
Damn. Take Dave's advice.
yeah, I definitely check around because they.
Dave Koken sent me.
Well, wherever you go, if you're looking, and again, it's a higher end new car. I don't know what the lower end vehicles. I don't know what their situation is, but I know what it was like at Mercedes and a couple of other imports, and it's like, holy shit, that's pretty good. And believe me, I'm be paying significantly less than I was on the E. And the funny thing is, I don't care because at my age, it's not like I'm taking it with me. But I'm very happy with the car, and it's black. I got back into a black car. I like black cars.
I'm glad you made out. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm real happy with it.
So can I tell you the goofy story behind that brisket picture?
Yeah.
And I like to do this. That I didn't eat that brisket, and I didn't get that meal. So I happen to be looking, and I'll just punch it up here if everyone can see it on the phone. I was looking at it. I saw a tweet with our buddy Ray Brewer, right?
Yeah.
So Ray was, let's see if you can see it. So, Ray was saying, I'll read it to you. Let me blow it up here. And Ray got like he's in Indianapolis. So he got a big plate of like eggs and hash browns, right? Like 4 eggs, hash browns, bacon. And he was at a place. He goes, one UNLV grad eating at a restaurant in Indianapolis on the recommendation of another Rebel, Guy Fieri. Thanks at Historic Steer Inn, right? STEERIN for a great meal. So I was like, I'm always curious. So I click on their Twitter account, open 1960. The Steer Inn restaurant continues to serve Indy's East Side. And I go like 5 tweets down, and that picture of that brisket that's their brisket back on
Really?
May 19th. They posted that picture.
Really?
I was like, man, I got to see what people think of this because
I
people
don't
are like,
think,
that was not a. There it is again. Let's see if I can get it on the screen. Right there it is.
I think I'd rather steer away.
Yeah, I'm like, what? What are they doing?
Well,
So-
maybe that's how they like brisket in Indianapolis, but that's not my.
Oh boy,
Wouldn't be my choice.
this is fucking corned beef and cabbage with melon.
What kind of melon?
All thrown up. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Let's see if you can.
Is that cantaloupe?
You're right. It might be cantaloupe. It's corned beef, cabbage, and cantaloupe. And then what are the black things up top?
Let me see that again. What? I want to see the corned beef.
Some it doesn't look. Hold on. Fuck.
I gotta tell you, that's not the best looking corned beef I've ever seen either.
What is going on?
Jesus.
Wow. Good for you, Indy. I mean, their breakfast. I'm looking at their breakfast. Not bad.
How can you screw up breakfast? I mean, it's eggs.
We might have to do some investigation on this place. Yep, truth, please.
What a,
Because
that's
I gotta-
a great comment.
I gotta get to the bottom of this. My best friend is a fat guy in Indianapolis. Yep, please.
That's beautiful.
Oh man.
Do fat guys have better taste in food? I don't. I think that's an old wives' tale.
I think it is too.
I think they'll eat anything.
They're not picky.
No.
That's awesome. Truth says yes, he does have good taste.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, it was a horrible blanket generalization on my
Yep.
part.
Yeah.
No, there are lots of people who have excess baggage who know their way around a good dinner table.
Sure. Hey Brady, the story you sent me about the gambling stuff, I'm gonna throw that at JVT on Monday, and we'll let Dave address it next Friday. But I know Dave's got to run; he's got his baseball stuff to get to. He's got a busy
No,
week.
actually, I don't. I've not. I have a tendency to when I go bad.
Yeah, you back out.
Yeah.
All right.
I might take tomorrow off because the last couple of days sucked, and I've been running so well, and it's like I can see a little bit of a valley coming here, so I might very well take a day off. We'll see.
Well, I'll use myself as an excuse. I have to run because I want to go out because Taylor
Good.
Byrne, who used to be on Cofield and Company, is back in town, so I got him either get out tonight or tomorrow, and I might go.
Are you doing late night food?
Probably not. I'm trying to trim down a little bit
Okay.
for the next month or so. So I'm trying to show some the late night eating. That's when I get a little more beefy, and I love eating late night. So that's
So
the
do I.
problem.
In
And I
fact,
do
think that's what I'm
this
gonna do.
weekend. this weekend I do want to see Resorts World, so I'll probably go middle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, let me know how it is because it'll probably be a while before I get there.
I know. All right, Dave. Well, congrats on the car. Is the cat okay? Is it going better?
We've set an appointment for next Thursday.
No.
Yeah, the vet's going to come over and that'll be the end of it. The cancer's spreading. He's wheezing and coughing like crazy now.
Jesus.
So I don't want it to get to the point where he's struggling. So we've decided that the recommendation was actually it's time. So I said, well, let me have another week with him. And by the way, it costs a little more, but they now have services available where they will come to your house and do what has to be done. If you have an animal, that's the way to spend the money. Okay, it's worth it. You don't want your pet having to be someplace,
cold, strange.
Yeah, let him be at home.
Yeah.
So you can be with him at the finish, and he's not worried about anything. It's comfortable, and so that'll be the end for Bo. And when I come back from San Diego, we'll find another old kitty. Who?
Ooh. Okay.
Well, no, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another.
No. I love it. I love it.
I'm going to get another old cat. They don't deserve to spend their final years in cages and kennels.
Yep.
So we'll find a friendly old cat like Bo, and hopefully I can provide him with a good home for a few years.
Talk to me before you go and pick out an old cat, because I have a couple of places, some charities that we work with, who who have cats all the time.
Yeah, I have some.
You have a place?
A couple of people. Yeah.
Okay.
They're very active and they have, they're stuck. The older cats are really tough to adopt. People they want kittens or young cats.
Yep.
I'll be happy to, and for me, it's perfect because I don't want a real active cat.
Right.
I'm not that active. I want a cat who likes to lay around and watch TV with me.
Jumping all over you.
There you go.
God damn it. Calm down.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right, Dave. Have a good weekend, everyone. Have a good weekend. And Brady, I promise the gambling story I'll get to a couple times next week. Okay. We'll see you.